Welcome back to So You Really Want to Learn Latin, and today we are going to be learning how to decline numerals. Okay, sounds a bit weird, but that's what we're going to do. So we've learnt how to count in Latin. We can count from 1 to, 100 or more. Unus, duo, tres, quator, quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, decem, that sort of thing. And we've also learnt how to say first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Primus, secundus, tertius, quartus, quintus, sextus, septimus, octavus, nonus, decimus. Okay, so these are our numbers that we've learnt how to play with in the past. But there's one little element of it which I've skated over so far, and that is that the numbers 1, 2, and 3 decline. That is to say, they have different endings for the various different cases that you might want to use the numbers in. Now, we'll start with unus, the Latin for one. Now, unus has a whole set of endings for the nominative, accusative, genitive, dative, and ablative. And they also have different genders, because you might want to be talking about one boy or one girl, or even one thing. So we're going to need a masculine, a feminine, and a neuter. Okay. Now this doesn't apply to numbers above 3. So if you want to say 4 boys or 4 girls or 4 things, the word is just quator. There is no distinction. And if your number 4 is the subject of the sentence and you're kind of wanting it to be in the nominative, it's quator. If it's the object, it's still quator. Okay, so easy peasy. But for the numbers 1, 2, and 3, we do need all the cases, and we need the genders as well. Okay, so unus in the singular. Unus, una, unum. Unum, unam, unum. Unius, unius, unius. Uni, uni, uni. Uno, una, uno. Okay, slightly peculiar, quite good fun to learn. And the basic concept is that you need the cases because one girl might be the subject of your sentence, or one boy might be the object of your sentence, or this might be the friend of one soldier, or you might want to give something to one person. Okay, so in other words, the cases are important. That's why we need them, and that's why we have to learn unus. Okay, unus, una, unum, unum, unam, unum. Unius, 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 uni, 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 uno, una, uno. Notice again, we've had this before, I don't mess around with the vocative because we're not going to need a vocative of the word one. So the basic idea we're establishing here is that ordinal numbers are adjectives, and therefore they need to be able to agree with the noun they are describing. Now, slightly bizarrely, the Latin word one has a plural. Now you might think, well, that's a bit weird. How can one have a plural? Well, 2 reasons. If you want to say the Romans set up one camp here and another one over there, you'd need to be able to make the word one agree with the plural noun castra. So that's why it is a plural. The second reason why we need the plural of unus is that some other adjectives decline like unus, and therefore we need to learn the pattern, and unus is the one we learn, so that's why. Okay, now in the plural, uni, unai, una, unus, unas, una, unorum, unarum, unorum, unis, 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 unis. In other words, it goes exactly like bonus. There is nothing funny at all about unus in the plural. Okay, so that's one. Now, the Latin two, duo, well, this one actually obviously doesn't have a singular. So you can only use the word two in the plural. It's kind of obvious. obvious, I suppose. And so this one goes, duo, duai, duo. Duos, duas, duo. Duorum, duarum, duorum. Duobus, duabus, duobus. Duobus, duabus, duobus. Okay, so that's a pretty cool little word. You know, people say what's Latin for two, and you say it's duo. Well, it is duo, but just be aware, you will see it in these other cases. And when you do, don't get spooked. That's just what's going on. So, for example, you might have a little sentence. There's one in the book here I'm just looking at. Horatius cum duobus amicis pontem diu defendebant. Okay. Now, if you hadn't learned that duo declined in this way, you'd think, what on earth was duobus? Cum duobus amicis. But that's just the ablative plural of the word duo, agreeing with amicis. Horatius, with two friends, was defending the bridge. And then finally, trace. Now, trace means three, and it also doesn't obviously have a singular. It declines as follows. Trace, trace, tria. Trace, trace, tria. Trium, trium, trium. Tribus, tribus, tribus. Tribus, tribus, tribus. Now, again, it's not really very important to know that, really, because trace in the nominative and the accusative is the same, trace, and in the masculine and the feminine it's the same, trace. So it's only, I suppose, if you saw the word tria, you might think, ooh, what's tria? Well, it's nominative or accusative neuter of the word trace. And then that genitive trium is a bit peculiar. You'd have to know that that was a genitive plural of three friends, trium amicorum. And tribus, dative or ablative plural, all genders. Again, that's a weird word. So if Horatius had done his stuff on the bridge with three friends, he'd have done it cum tribus amicis. Okay? So that's enough about numbers today. You know, we've rattled through lots of stuff recently, but we can now decline our numbers 1, 2, and 3, remembering that numbers are adjectives and they agree with the nouns they describe. Above 3, there's no panic because they don't decline at all. 4, 5, 6, and so on are just those words you learn. But for 1, 2, and 3, you have to learn unus, una, unum, for 1, duo, duai, duo, for 2, and trace, trace, tria, for 3. Okay? All on page 24 in the book. So I hope you're getting through this stuff, and we will see you back here next time for, I think we're going to have a little look at expressions of time. And we might have a go at another Latin passage to check that you're keeping up with all of this stuff and being able to use it when you translate a chunk of Latin. Okay? Always a good way of checking that you know what you're doing. If you get a passage of Latin, you don't panic, you just think, yeah, I know this stuff, I can handle that. Okay, good luck with what you're doing, hope it's going well. Drop me a comment in the box below if you need any help or assistance, and I will see you back here soon on this channel.